What borders on stupidity? Most of your own actions viewed from a third person perspective. Don't call me out like that. Telling your employees for the last several months that you can't afford to pay their full salary or have them work a full 40 hours, and then sending out a company-wide email crowing about the Q2 results and how high the stock prices are. What a great way to alienate your workers. I stopped listening to my company's quarterly meeting. Always understaffed, but making bank every quarter. The city hired a traffic cop with only one arm to direct traffic at a busy intersection downtown. What's wrong with the traffic lights? Some busy intersections can get gridlocked easily if you let people blindly follow traffic lights. The issue can be amplified if you mix new and old infrastructure with a much higher population than originally planned for. Traffic directors can hold, redirect, and clear traffic. I've seen them at tunnel entrances in New York City. Yelling at an 18-year-old minimum wage worker just trying to get his life together. People who identify fully with any movement PR party and automatically agree with everything the group spits out, even when some of it is insanity or straight up lies. This is fake news. Everything put forth by party is correct/s. Hey, it's easier than thinking for yourself. My university sending students from dorms back to their homestead for covered safety and then charging them full price out of state tuition for basically just Zoom calls, TED Talk videos, and YouTube videos. People on social media will not take even one moment to look up critical information, but will spend 15 minutes taking a dumb survey to find out what kind of potato they may be. And that, folks, is how misinformation remains king on social media. You think it's just social media? Parents somehow thinking that yelling at their kids is going to make them respect them. That's not how it works. If you angrily scream "you will respect me" at a child, that doesn't bring respect, that brings fear. For your child to respect you, you must respect them. Granted, it is important to keep them safe, but it's also important to not scream at them 24/7. Don't be stupid. Teach your kids respect the right way by respecting them and showing them that you take responsibility for your mistakes. I know from personal experience that people seem to equate fear with respect, and that if you fear them, that means you respect them. That is not at all how that works. This year's presidential election. Florida. Just Florida. I don't think I need to further explain it. Florida is several miles into the stupidity jello. Florida is the jello. Mexico and Canada. In Arizona, your license is good without renewal for 50 years. My grandparents' license expires when they are 118 to 120 years old. You don't even have to do the bare minimum of renewal, like "hey, I'm verifying everything is still the same. Just take a new photo of me." No. I used to work at the grocery store, and when people would buy alcohol, it was always a shit show, because people would have 10 to 20-year-old ID pics. United States drug laws. Not wearing a mask when asked. That's a few miles into Stupidville, honestly. Don't know why, but I laughed so hard at this. Pet food that is bad for pets, but makes major money, i.e. Meow Mix. Northern border, poorly informed. Eastern border, knowing everything intuitively, with no research. Southern border, only listening to those you agree with. Western border, making those with different beliefs into the enemy. Anything that shares a border with Mississippi. Yeah. Stupid Gulf. Expecting that anyone under 40 magically should have their life completely together and know the answer to all of life's conceivable situations. Especially younger people. We are provided literally nothing about being an adult beyond get a job or go to some university and get a job. Scotland. / Scotland and Wales. Yelling at gate agents for weather delays. Can we add yelling at minimum wage workers to that as well? Fighting retail employees over wearing a mask seems to be popular these days. Instead of buying new school books and things like that, the high school I went to decided to use said money to fund a new mascot, a female Spartan to coincide with the male one we already had. So now we have 2 mascots and hundreds of government books that says George Bush Sr. just started his presidency. Entitled people who think that they don't have to wear masks. In the current world climate, booking a cruise. Honking during traffic jams. Morality. Ignorance combined with narcissism. A secular state that plasters in God we trust all over public services. Taking out a ton of student loans for a degree with limited career options. US government, apparently. Government in general. Big bureaucracies in general. Government or otherwise. Wearing a mask without covering your nose. When you're driving at the correct speed down a road, someone overtakes you, going over the speed limit, and doesn't make any quicker progress in their journey because you're now following right behind them, or you catch up with them at the next set of traffic lights or the next roundabout. People who extol the virtues of weight loss through unhealthy means such as malnourishment. Not really stupid eating disorders are serious issues. Even if you know the risk, you don't stop because of anxiety, lack of self-confidence, or any wide array of issues. Karens. In my old state, Northern Vermont vs Southern Vermont. Southern Vermont has some sane people, but they believe that just because they're in the South, not born from or in the actual south of the country, then they are just like them in every way. You're in a northern state. For Christ's sake. Vanity. Running diagonally across an intersection when the to left turn signals are green and nothing else is. Yes, crossing diagonally across an intersection is a dumb thing to do, but it's not a bad idea to implement. If the lanes are set up correctly and a light is active for it, then diagonal crosswalks can be installed to allow quicker access to non-adjacent corners of an intersection. Forgiveness. In my personal experience, my willingness to forgive rather than hold someone accountable for the pain they caused me in the hope that it was unintentional has led me to a lot of pain. My husband says I'm forgiving to a fault, and honestly it might just be that I'm stupid. Life in general is surviving your own and others' stupidity. Hiring cops, the profession with the highest rates of domestic violence and marriage infidelity, to work in schools. 2 of the school cops in my county got caught ducking students. No duh, there is nothing for them to do all day but flirt with girls who have daddy issues. Saying oh it'll be fine, because it usually follows someone bringing up a legitimate concern. Eating those super spicy hot sauces when you have no experience. Those can literally burn your throat. Almost putting your prick in a toaster. Please elaborate. Georgia and Alabama. I guess stupidity is either Florida or Tennessee. Canada's southern border. Conventional wisdom. More often than not, conventional wisdom is something false that just gets repeated enough time by enough people that near everyone accepts that it's true. We have all been, and likely still are, victims to conventional wisdom. I can guarantee that something that you think right now is a fact is likely a bit of conventional wisdom that is not more than a widely accepted falsehood. Karens. Spoiled kids. People who don't have common sense, and or anyone who tries to prove that they're always right about everything. American politics. I remember in 3rd or 4th grade, someone said the solar system we live in doesn't have any stars, and it surprisingly was a mistake, not some conspiracy. Pennsylvania Avenue. Daylight savings time. Thinking the numbers on my toaster were 4 degrees of toastiness and not minutes of toasting. Every person who is voting for Trump again. People who call others sheep because of their masks, not realizing that they are being sheep in following others who call mask wearers sheep. My sister's ex borders stupidity and whatever is beyond that. At 23, he tried to start a fight with an 8-year-old because their favorite doctor who was different to his. A lot of government's responses to this pandemic, putting politics first and deliberately choosing to ignore the scientific community's advice, not to mention their absolute lack of common sense. Agreed. And I'd like to add sending children back to school in the middle of a pandemic. Believing that gun control actually prevents/slows violent crimes, particularly gun violence. Apartment management changing every own's windows during a thunderstorm. That happened to you. It did last week, unfortunately. Virginia and Maryland. I swear my thought process sometimes. It's not after someone points it out, or it's all said and done, and I step back and think, how the duck did I not see that? People who look down at the arrows in grocery stores and still go the wrong way. As a grocery store employee, you really start to see how many people are morons. Fixing everything with duct tape. It sounds stupid. It looks stupid, but it generally tends to work, so it's not quite stupid. This might too far gone to be considered bordering, but politicians being 100% against a country, doing something on the basis of an assumption rather than knowledge. When there is something you need to ask or communicate, do it. Not doing that when you easily cold vis such a stupid thing to do. I don't wanna say my stepkids, but my stepkids. Ignorance. Most humans. Malice. Supporting interests and policies that enrich billionaires rather than the public, because someday you could be one. Wearing a mask in the car with the windows closed. Around half of humanity. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.